Hi, this is Shivam Singh from DS70 batch upgrade. I'm presenting Python lab submission. Let's start with uh, the presentation. Problem statement that was given. Objective. Find two elements in the given list of integer whose sum is closest to 0. The list can include positive and negative integers. Output requirement. The function should return the two elements whose sum is closest to 0 in case of multiple pair with the same distance to 0. Any one of them can be returned. If the list is empty, the function should return none. For example, given the list -4, 7, 6, 2 and -5, the function should return the pair -5, 6 as the sum of these two elements is closest to 0. Input format. The list of integer output format. The tuple containing the two elements with the sum closest to 0. Methodology that we use. Uh, this assignment presents two methods, each explained in detail with a step-by-step description of the implementation. The methods are as follows: brute force approach and optimized approach. By exploring these approaches, we can evaluate their efficiency, performance, and suitability based on the given data. These analyses will help us determine the most suitable approach for the problem at hand. Brute force approach: to find the pair of element with the smallest absolute sum in a list. The brute force approach involves iterating through all possible pair of element and calculating their sum. This approach has a time complexity of O n square and is less efficient for large lists. Hence, for larger list, alternative method such as sorting or using hash table can be employed to achieve a lower time complexity. The brute force method is implemented in Jupyter Notebook, a Python programming platform. The find pair closest to 0 function that takes an array as input and return a tuple containing the pair of elements whose sum is closest to 0. The function employs a brute force approach by iterating through all possible pair of elements in the array and calculating their sum. It continuously tracks the minimum difference between the sum of any two pair and returns the pair associated with this minimum difference. Python code brute force approach. The find pair closest to 0 function takes an array as input. It first check if the length of the array is less than 2, in which case it returns none, as there are not enough elements to form a pair. The variable minimum difference and pair are initialized. Minimum difference is set to infinity initially and pair is set to none. The nested for loop iterate over all possible pair of elements in the array. For each pair, the absolute difference of their sum from 0 is calculated using abs array I plus array j. If the difference is smaller than the current minimum difference, it updates minimum difference and set pair to the current pair of element. Finally, the function returns the pair of element with the sum element to 0. Optimized approach. The provided Python programming utilize an optimized approach to find the pair of element in a given array whose sum is closest to 0. This approach involves sorting the array first and then finding the pair by iterating through the sorted array from both ends, moving inward toward each other. Since the list of sorted, the adjacent pair will have a closest value. The function then returns the pair with the smallest absolute sum. This method exhibits a time complexity of O n log n, where n represents the length of the list. The find pair closest to 0 optimized function takes an array as input and returns a tuple containing a pair of elements whose sum is closest to 0. Python code optimized approach. Now I'll explain the code. The find pair closest to 0 optimized function takes an array as input. It first checks if the length of the array is less than 2, in which case it returns none, as there are not enough elements to form a pair. The array is sorted using the sort method. The variable minimum difference and pair are initialized. Minimum difference is set to infinity initially and pair is set to none. Two pointers left and right are initialized to the start and end of the sorted array respectively. The while loop continues until left is less than right. In each iteration, the sum of the element at the left and right indices is calculated and sorted in current sum. The absolute difference of current sum from 0 is calculated using abs_calc current sum. If this difference is smaller than the current minimum difference, it updates minimum difference and set pair to the current pair of element. Based on the sign of current sum, either left or right is incremented or decremented, moving toward the center of the array. Finally, the function returns the pair of elements with the sum closest to 0. Now the conclusion. Both methods yield the same output, a tuple of two integers representing the pair of element whose sum is closest to 0. However, the two methods differ in their approaches and time complexity. The brute force method involves comparing every possible pair of elements in the input list, calculating their sum, and updating the minimum sum and corresponding pair of elements is necessary. This approach requires nested loop, resulting in a time complexity of 0 and not 2 for small input size. Conversely, the optimized approach involves sorting the input list and comparing adjacent pair of integers. With the time complexity of O n log n for sort the list and O n for comparing adjacent pair. This method exhibits better efficiency for larger input size. Uh, Thank you so much.